So we almost died on our anniversary for Foot Wine. I Don't Understand You is currently streaming on Hulu. It was written and directed by David Joseph Craig and Brian Crano. Check out the respective IMDb pages for the full listens of their work. And this centers around Nick Kroll as Dom, not Dirty Dom. There is no Liv Morgan, no Finn Balor, no Carly. Actually, Carlito is no longer there in the Judgment Day. There is no Raquel Rodriguez Gonzalez. Thank fuck for that. And there is no Roxanne Perez. Mourn the pity. Non-wrestling fans have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. But yes, this is non-Dirty Dom. And by the way, Nick was in movies like Dinner for Schmucks and has been in quite a bit of stuff. You'll recognize him once you see him here. And his partner is named Cole, played by Andrew Reynolds, who was in A Simple Favor, The Prom, and Another Simple Favor. Also, Amanda Seyfried is in this, in the sense that she literally practically phones in her role for the few scenes she's in it. So basically, we have Dom and Cole, who are going to go on an Italian adventure vacation just to celebrate their anniversary before they end up finally being able to adopt a child. It has been a lot of, just invasive questioning, and the process has been absolutely maddening. They have been filming videos just trying to say that they will be really good dads. It doesn't matter, by the way, if it's two moms, two dads, as if they're loving parents wouldn't be enough. Honestly, if you have a problem with anybody who is gay, LGBTQ, whatever, part of that particular group, if you have any problem with anybody adopting a child and raising them in a loving home, what the fuck is wrong with you? That theme is not necessarily worked over in this movie, but Dom and Cole go to Italy. They run into one of Dom's dad's best friends, that's hard to say, who basically says, hey, just go on this adventure and have some fun and everything, and relax, don't do it. If you want to go through it, relax, don't do it. If you want to go into the Italian woods, you go. And then it takes a bit of a shift, and we get a dark comedy with a few horror elements. And okay, so now that I've gone far enough into this review, praising the casting and the fact that we should have more representation like this, I'm going to say that this movie basically takes any positives and stamps it down. And my God, I can't even see because it's buried 6 feet underground. I want to. Should have buried the sneaker pimps down there as far as I'm concerned. This movie is an alleged dark comedy, but is only dark in the sense the power goes out later on in the movie. You can't see what's going on. You don't care what's going on. And the whole theme of language barrier issues is worked to death. Worked to death within the first few minutes, and unfortunately, it doesn't get any funnier the next 5 million times they do it. I did not have fun with this at all. Well, at the end of the day, it is inoffensive. It also proves that if you don't really have the talent to be behind the camera or write a movie, maybe you should just stick to acting. Maybe you should just stick to that, because this was deeply unfunny. It wasn't even earned, horror or an earned tonal shift. There was really nothing about this that was positive. Like, the characters are super annoying, and none of the dialogue really clicks. There's a little bit of chemistry as far as Nick and Andrew trying to make the best of this limited material, this rice paper thin amount of material. But it is not good. I don't know what I meant. Seafried, however the fuck you say that, was in this. By the way, 8 executive producers, including the writer-director team. And we have 5 producers, including Jasmine Bergen, who was in the very beginning of the movie as they were getting on a plane. Unfortunately, this was not Flight 180, as hilarious as that would have been. Yeah, didn't like this at all. Just going to get into spoilers, so it's on Hulu if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, basically, they're filming, videos saying, would you do anything for your child? Clearly they would. And trying to learn language on Duolingo apparently doesn't work. And even though they get to Italy and they try to fit in, the language barrier. Again, see, they don't understand them, so it's funny. It's not funny. And these filmmakers need to be told that, because none of it works. But the dad's best friend and his wife, Cecilia, I do have to say, the actress playing Cecilia is quite attractive. She gives them engraved knives. And one is, one is Dominic, but one is, instead of Cole, it's Cool, because, translation, because they don't understand them. Do you get it? So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, or actually, Cecilia is the name of the actress, I should say, but it doesn't really matter. It's fine. Yeah, I don't understand you as a team. I had a chance to watch this in theaters, and if I had, I would have done one of two things. Walked out or been tempted to scream at the screen until it decided to be funny, which wouldn't have worked. So, Candace is about to pop. She's talking to them and basically talking to them over the phone. She knows she can't give the kid the best life, and that's why she wants to give the kid to them. Now, you might have thought, oh shit, she's in Italy. No, she's actually back in Pittsburgh. But they're going on this vacation just before that. The fish out of water theme sucks. It's the fucking shit. There's a character named Zia. She's an old Italian lady. This is her restaurant. By the way, their car gets stuck. They end up getting besieged by one guy who finds a deer in a fence, or a cow in a fence, or whatever it is. I think it's a deer. And he ends up taking them to this restaurant. But their car is stuck right on his property. They don't realize it's on his property because, again, they don't understand him. So, basically, they go to her restaurant. She is over the moon that they actually wanted to visit her restaurant because it turns out she lost his son, Giovanni, who Dom reminds her of. And you might think that we're getting almost I'm going to keep you type of horror. Nope. But she does seem disgusted when they kiss, even though she's suggesting they do, even though she knows they're gay, and she makes whiny old-fashioned way. So we almost died on our anniversary for foot line. That line might have been funnier if I wasn't already checked out of this fucking movie. So, they talk about, Zia talks about pizza, like, killing the oldest horse and making pizza out of it. They divide the meat. When they said horse meat, I actually thought we were going to get a Soylent Green type situation, but we didn't get that. And there's an old man and an iron lung. It turns out actually to be her husband. He has stroke after the son passed, and now he's in an iron lung. Could have had that match in an iron lung, as Chief Jay Strongbow would say. Another deep cut for wrestling fans. So, while the power goes out and they didn't have one of their phones charged. I think it was Dom's phone. I believe it was Dom's phone. But the phone wasn't charged because the charger wasn't plugged in. They try calling on the house phone, but the power goes out. And then inadvertently, they send Zia down some stairs. And they didn't mean to, but since the iron lung's out, now it is a question of, will the husband Gianni survive? Power comes back on, by the way, after they try to do some CPR comedy and crack her ribs. More on that here in a bit. But then there's a guy that arrives, and it turns out his name is Massimo, and it turns out he's actually the other son of Zia. He gets their car out, and then he says, hey, let's have some drink, let's have this, and stuff like that. But because, he can't quite speak good enough English, some of the translation doesn't quite work. So he ends up basically arriving with his fiancée, Francesca, who I have to say, that actress, good grief, she's beautiful. She's there and she's talking to Cole, while Dom is talking to Massimo. And he sees the phone light up, Massimo does, and realizes, oh shit, you know what, you're going to be a dad, but the accent makes it seem like you're going to be dead. So then we get an inadvertent stabbing. So they've killed the mother, now they've killed the son, and oh wait, then they end up filming a video talking to Candace, who's about to pop back in Pittsburgh. Apparently this birth has taken about 5 million years. And then, while that goes on, Massimo dies because he's had 2 major neck wounds. And Francesca tries to run away, but gets hit by the truck. Hit by her truck because Dom grabbed the wrong keys. And then her neck's cracked and everything. And okay, so 3 dead bodies, what they decided to do. There's a brick oven, or an old oven, that they somehow managed to shove the bodies into and burn the goddamn bodies. This is after Zia revives and basically is wondering what the fuck's going on, and she gets knocked out with a shovel, Psycho 2 style. And Yeah, they put it in the oven and leave. They hide the evidence and leave. The police arrive and aren't really able to do anything because we got just a few minutes left of this movie, folks. Jefferson Starship plays as they end up hitting the guy that drove them there from before, the guy that was going to go back for the deer meat and the fence. And none of this is funny at all. And then Johnny tries to basically say what happened, but he can only get out a certain slur about gay people that I'm not going to mention here. It starts with Q. Something the Ultimate Warrior said. He said that didn't make the world work, and then he stopped working. Oh. That being said, he ends up dying, so they really have no leads. And then the two guys are going to go back to Pittsburgh, or they're going to go back to the States, go to Pittsburgh, because they are going to get the kid from Kidus, as it were. And then the police are pursuing him, and the police found him, and they found him to give them their passport. And then they go back and they get the kid, and they name the kid Giovanni, and they're going to have another kid. They want to get another kid. Are we going to do a sequel to this? Why did anybody think that this was a good idea the first time? If this was not the first draft of what they did, then they needed to do another draft. Then they needed to do several drafts and stop drinking drafts so they could come up with some comedy that would fucking work. Because this didn't work as a comedy. It didn't work once, the killing started, the inadvertent killing or whatever. None of this is funny. It's one of the deeply unfunny movies that I don't even think deepliest is actually a word. Deeply unfunny movie. And I hated this. I hated all this. It was terrible. I am going to give this an F. I don't understand who gets an F because it's just not very fucking good. At all. I wish that the idea of having the two dads trying to get a kid and just trying to get out of a certain situation or whatever would have been funnier. But no. No consequences for the actions. Good job. Good job, team. Good work. Agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. Until we get out of Italy without any consequences again, happy trails to you.